Welcome to Small Biz Connect, where we talk all things small biz. I'm Amy Reid, the director of the Galveston County SBDC. Small business development centers are partially funded by the SBA, where we provide no-cost business advice as well as low to no-cost training. Today, we are joined by Brittany Green. Brittany Green is with Green Appraisals. And Brittany, I'd just like for you to kind of tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So my background, or I guess my route to being a valuation analyst wasn't necessarily a straight line. I actually have a background in real estate appraisal, which never do again. And most recently, business coaching. So I was actually a business coach for about 10 years, and that transitioned me into doing valuation, which I absolutely love.
So before I forget, where are you located?
I'm in Link City.
Okay.
I'm a hometown girl.
So when you're talking about business evaluations, why are business evaluations important?
So business valuations help owners to understand not only their financial position, but how are they competing versus industry. So people only think about valuation when they're going to sell their business and they're going to do that exit, which it's key, right? We want them to do that valuation. But if you're going to do that exit, we want to see you do that like 2 to 5 years ahead of time so that you have opportunity to get to what we call the magic number. It's that number that's in every owner's head. But we also do valuation for growth purposes. I have a valuation I'm working on right now that this gentleman actually wants to take on investors, and he doesn't know what his value is worth. So he doesn't know how much can he fundraise, what would he need to do, what does that structure look like. So we do valuation for multiple purposes, whether it be for growth, for exit. We work buyer due diligence. So if someone's going to buy a business and they want that opinion on the value of it, or even business divorce, which can be a partner exiting, marital divorce, which isn't always my favorite, but it's one of those things that's required as part of the process. And also gift and estate tax. So there's certain legislation that exists right now that will expire at the end of this year, lifting how much someone can make as a gift in a lifetime. So we're seeing more and more folks making that decision and getting that valuation done to make those moves.
So if they're going through the process, how do they know, like, this is the time when I should get an evaluation? And what does that process look like? What documents and
Sure.
how does that look like?
So as far as documentation goes, people get intimidated by valuation. Really for us, a standard documents request is 3 years of profit and loss statements, which are also income statements. Accounting has to be complicated and have 2 turns for the same thing. And then 3 years worth of balance sheets. We'll also request tax returns because it helps us with understanding what industry that you are in. Construction is a wide industry, right? You have residential, you have commercial, and then there's specifics under that. So if you tell me you're in construction, I'm like, okay, that's all good and great, but I want to be able to pull industry specific metrics for the comparison. So your tax records help us do that. And then if there's any specifics like a buy-sell agreement or operating agreement, if it's a franchise, we'll also request their franchise agreement to help us understand what are the ins and outs of that and what do transfers look like. We have a valuation that we're working on for a continuing education group that has a grant. We want to verify that that grant can actually transfer to the buyer. So we'll actually request that documentation. So standard 3 years of financial statements and tax returns. Everything else is usually extra, but once we have the initials, it gets us down the road.
So I'm happy you mentioned franchises. So franchises are not like all other businesses, right? So kind of going along that same line, do you have to be a big business to have your have a valuation done, to think about selling your business? Can you be a sole proprietor? What does that look like?
You can be any type of business. If you buy or sell or offer a thing, you can be valued. We have done everything from an esthetician who rents a room inside of one of these salons that, she's a business inside of a business, but she's independent. She has her own entity, so she can be valued. We just had a daycare last week that their revenue was $350,000. We had a franchise, specifically a restaurant in downtown Houston at the end of last year. I was actually working on the buy side of the transaction. And so they were a top performer in the city of Houston. They're like, these are the big ballers of Houston for this franchise, restaurant franchise. And so we get the financial statements. It's a $250,000 a year business. So perception of business is a little bit industry. It's a little bit of, performance and things like that. And that's where people kind of get intimidated. They're like, well, I'm too small to get a valuation. You're absolutely not too small to get a valuation. If you're in business, you can get valued. And that's why we kind of exist and compete in the boutique space that we do with small business, is that there are some large valuation firms that won't take on small businesses. We get it. We've been there. We are a family business. So those are the folks that we want to make sure do get that help to make those business decisions.
Speaking of your family business, how long have y'all been in business?
So Green Appraisal has been in existence for, we incorporated about 6 years ago. Before that, we were a coaching company called Advantage Business Coach. So we were in coaching for 11 years, and I have been in valuation specifically for 3 years, like with my designation. But we incorporated financial analysis, industry benchmarking, and calculations of value from day one of our coaching. So I had been doing valuation for a while before I actually got designated. And then now that I'm designated, I get to have more fun.
And you're constantly getting new certifications, right? This is part of your professional development?
It is. So to become a certified valuation analyst, I actually had to do a 1-week course that was 5 days, 9 hours a day. Then I had to pass a 400 question test, and the study guide was 1,200 questions. So your girl memorized 1,200 questions to pass a 400 question test. And then I had to submit a case study to prove that I could actually write a report. Fortunately, I've been doing valuation enough that I submitted one of my own. I made one correction and they passed me. So April 3rd is my anniversary of being certified. But I don't want to ever take that test again. So yes, I get my continuing education in. It's kind of funny you bring this up. I just got last week the most recent book on business valuation, and it was written by one of the deities of business valuation. His last name is Hitchner, and the last time he wrote this book, the last update was about 10 years ago. And so in 10 years, this guy put together, the book is 1,448 pages. And so, Mr. Hitchner, if you're seeing this, can you do updates like every 1 to 2 years so that we can have more bite-sized pieces as opposed to 1,400? Because I'm barely through chapter 1. So, personal plea, if anybody knows him or can tag him, please, shorter books.
Awesome. Well, let's from there we'll start a pivot. So talk to me a little bit about the succession planning that you do.
So succession planning is also known as exit planning. It has a bunch of different terms. And so I actually am serving on a board for an exit planning group here in Houston that is going to be launching. And so with exit planning is to help a business owner have that successful exit. So for our component of it, which we're a small cog in the process of exit planning, but where we come in is to help the owner understand financial performance versus their industry, so they're not existing in that bubble, as well as where is their value, where are they going, and then be able to make those decisions from there of what makes the most sense. Does it make sense to exit now? Do I exit later? And so they can make those steps. If they are on that 2 to 3 to 5 year track, we can actually update their valuations. And we have some companies that do this with us, that each year they'll update, and then we're able to track performance and see, hey, here's where you're going. This is where we see. And specifically one that we have that he kind of had a misstep in this past year. And so his value went in the negative direction. And so we started digging in. We're trying to figure out what happened. And we found out that he had given his staff raises as a retention technique, which is great. We're never going to recommend someone let people go, right? That's not what we're here to say. But what we wanted to find out was, okay, since you did that increase in your payroll, did you increase your pricing? Because his services are both flat rate and hourly. So he ended up absorbing those costs. And because he absorbed that cost and didn't increase his pricing, that's what caused the profitability issues, which caused his valuation to go down. So these are the kind of things that we find out through this succession process. And we have a construction company we're working with right now. They want to sell to 2 of their key employees, but they've never gone through the process. They don't know what to do. So we're helping them get the first step. And then once they have those answers, our question to them is, where do you want to go from here? Do you have an attorney? Do you have a CPA? Do you have an exit planner? Do you have someone, people that can, that dream team, if you will, that can help you take those next steps? If they do, then great. Take this report to them, have those conversations. If they have questions, we're here to help. Or if they need those recommendations, we're very fortunate to have that referral network to be able to say, well, we know this person that specializes in what you're looking to do. And if you're open to that conversation, we can do that. We're never going to force our network on somebody and be like, you need to call these people. I'm never going to do that with somebody, because selling a business is a big decision, because it's that owner's baby. They've spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears growing it. And so sometimes it's hard to make that decision to let it go.
Have you come across any misconceptions about business evaluations or about succession planning, or challenges that you've kind of had to educate people on why it's important? And this question I've gotten twice this week alone is, well, what about those free valuations that you can get? Because there's M&A firms and CPAs and attorneys that'll give away free valuations. My answer to that is, you get what you pay for on those, because they are, they're program-based or algorithm-based. So you're entering information from a tax return, the algorithm's spitting out a number. And most of the time, they are not as accurate as they could be if you were dealing with a person, because I have conversations with my owners. I want to understand the ins and outs of their business. What's happened? Have you moved? Did you increase? Did you increase your prices? Did you increase your payroll? I want to understand all of those things, because they'll have an impact on valuation. So a misconception that we see is that, number one, valuation is scary. Number two, it's too expensive. And number three, well, I can just get a free one online. So it's not scary. We don't request a whole bunch of documentation. I'm rather nice. I don't bite people. Number two, it can get to be expensive, but you have to kind of frame it as an investment in what you're looking to do. It's the cost of doing business. So we are one of the firms that our pricing structure is based on our clients' revenue. So I'm not going to come out of the gate on, a company that's doing less than $1 million. I'm not going to charge you 10 grand to do a valuation, because nobody jumps out of bed in the morning saying, I'm going to get a valuation today. I wish you would, but it just doesn't happen. So we are in that position of this is sometimes I have to have this done. And so we want to be able to be that solution for owners to be like, okay, I can at least afford this to get the answers to go to where I need. So sometimes it can get expensive. Sometimes it's more than people think. Sometimes it's less than people think. So I love it when it's less, because then it's a no-brainer for them to sign my engagement letters and all of those good things. So, and then, like I said, the last one being, well, what about the free valuations, is take it with a grain of salt, for sure. I know we have software at the SBDC that we can use for valuations, but we always say this is just a baseline.
Yeah.
Because we are strictly going off of, profit and loss statements and tax returns, and that it's a program that we use, and it does fairly well, but it's not going to go in depth like a certified analyst like you is going to dig in, and you're going to have those hard conversations and see your years of experience where that's all you focus on.
Yeah.
Is it brings a lot of value. And I know, we have worked with you in the past. We've had clients that have needed that certified valuation, whether they were selling or they were buying, whichever side they were on. And it's always been great to work with you.
Oh yeah, we love working with your SBDC office in particular. You've afforded us the opportunity to work with other SBDC offices around here, and
I think you worked with Port Arthur and Lake Jackson as well, right?
And Beaumont.
Oh, and Beaumont.
And Beaumont. So
great.
yeah, we're taking over the world, or maybe just South Texas.
Well, I think that we know that there's times when it's time to call in the professionals.
Yeah.
You know, when people need in-depth reports like that, then call in someone who does that all the time. So kind of talking about, we've talked a little bit about succession plan, a little bit about exit strategy, and then the valuation. So talk to me about how your business works in the community.
So it was an interesting entry into being community-based. This was probably about 6, almost 7 years ago. We realized that all of our business was on a national level and nobody in our backyard knew who we were. So we got started working with the chambers. And I think that's actually how you and I even got connected, was probably through chamber, or we actually were on a panel discussion together. And then we grew to, now we're members of Bay Area Houston Economic Partnership, which has been an amazing opportunity, and, afforded me an opportunity to work with you as well in Small Business Committee. So
yeah, we love working together. So I just want to thank you for coming today. And for all you listeners out there, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms and follow us for future podcasts coming up. And we're also going to provide all of Brittany's contact information. Thank you so much.